Indian Navy welcomes INS Vikrant. India's glory and pride all set to sail. Jai Vikrant, non-stop coverage only on India Today.
Vikrant floats, Netas sink even on a day of its commissioning. A day of pride and glory for India's biggest ever home-built warship. The politics has to erupt. They can't give it a break even for a single day. And it's for the stupidest reason ever, as I'm going to demonstrate to you here on 5 Live. I'm Shiv Aroor. As always, the headlines first. Rape accused seer sent to 4-day police custody. Karnataka Chief Minister says he has given a free hand to the police. The arrest came after India Today's relentless campaign demanding action, shaming the entire national media into getting into the story they were too cowardly to report earlier. After health excuse, emotional drama in court, accused of raping children, Lingayat seer breaks down before a magistrate. Karnataka police to grill him next. In a big boost to the Indian Armed Forces, India gets its first indigenous aircraft carrier, Vikrant. Prime Minister Modi inducts the 20,000 crore aircraft carrier in Kochi. More revelations in the Sonali Phogat murder case. A video of accused hours after the murder resurfaces. Sonali and her assistant's transactions under the lens. Bottle used to drug Sonali Phogat has been found. Supreme Court grants interim bail to activist Teesta Setalvad in the 2002 Gujarat riots case. Teesta asked to surrender her passport. High Court to take decision on regular bail. It's a new dawn in India's naval prowess in the 21st century, launching its maiden indigenously built aircraft carrier INS Vikrant. India has joined an elite league of a very few small number of countries. India is the 7th nation to have built its own aircraft carrier and commissioned it into naval service. Only the 3rd to have done so in the last 3 years. Here's a look at the Indian Navy's latest and largest prized Swadeshi possession, INS Vikrant.
An aircraft carrier made in India, a floating airfield, 45,000 tons of war muscle. INS Vikrant, the pride of India, has joined the Indian Navy's fleet. This next-generation aircraft carrier, the largest warship ever built in India's maritime history, was commissioned in Kochi by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday.
जोरदार तालियों के साथ आइए स्वागत करते हैं भारतीय नौसेना में INS विक्रांत का।
विक्रांत विशाल है, विराट है, विहंगम है। विक्रांत विशिष्ट है, विक्रांत विशेष भी है। विक्रांत केवल एक युद्धपोत नहीं है, ये 21वीं सदी के भारत के परिश्रम, प्रतिभा, प्रभाव और प्रतिबद्धता का प्रमाण है।
The entry of India's biggest Swadeshi warship into the Navy is a huge push for Atmanirbhar Bharat.
जो देश जितना किसी दूसरे देश पर निर्भर है, उतना ही उसके लिए संकट है। जो देश जितना आत्मनिर्भर है, वो उतना ही सशक्त है।
The induction of the aircraft carrier is key to India's maritime interests, especially in the Indo-Pacific region, with a belligerent China attempting to widen its reach.
हम हमारी कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी की जरूरतों को पूरा करने में पूरी तरह से सक्षम हैं। हम एक फ्री, ओपन एंड इंक्लूसिव इंडो पैसिफिक में विश्वास रखते हैं। इस संबंध में हमारे प्रयास माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के विजन सागर यानी सिक्योरिटी एंड ग्रोथ फॉर ऑल इन द रीजन से गाइडेड है।
The aircraft carrier, housing state-of-the-art automation features, a crew of over 1,700 officers and sailors, and capacity to hold up to 12 fighter jets and 6 helicopters. This is a floating airfield and a city in itself.
We can see the two runways very clearly from here. This will give you an idea how exactly air operations will take place. The round circles with numbers, that says 3, it says 2, 1, those are meant for helicopters to be stationed, and the two runways are divided in between with a white lining. One is the red one, the other is the yellow one. Two runways are there, one is a shorter one, the other a longer one. The shorter one for operations to be launched quickly when the aircraft can fly without a payload. But if an offensive operation is to be launched with a heavy payload, that's when the longer runway has to be used. It's still going to take at least 4 months for air operations to start on INS Vikrant.
A special welcome was given to the new warship from the air, a flypast by helicopters and fighter jets in the presence of Prime Minister Modi and other dignitaries. The brand new aircraft carrier is named after its illustrious predecessor, the original INS Vikrant, that played a defining role in India's war with Pakistan in 1971. Today, India screams Shano Varunam. May the gods of the oceans be auspicious unto us. With Abhishek Bhalla in Kochi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the commissioning of this Swadeshi 45,000-ton giant INS Vikrant is a proud day for every Indian. Wouldn't you agree, viewer? But obviously not for certain political parties and their Netas who are busy fighting an ugly credit war for who should get all the praise and the credit for commissioning this vessel. The Congress has claimed that the BJP has ignored the UPA's contribution to the project, and the BJP has hit back. All this while the Vikrant's Nishan was being hoisted on its deck. Take a look.
The glory, the pride, the majesty. A day of overwhelming emotion for the Indian Navy and national pride for every Indian citizen. The stunning entry into service of India's biggest Swadeshi warship, INS Vikrant.
जो देश जितना आत्मनिर्भर है, वो उतना ही सशक्त है.
But as the aircraft carrier was being commissioned, a familiar Swadeshi politics was busy erupting. The first shot was fired by the Congress's media chief Jairam Ramesh, where he taunted Prime Minister Modi, wondering if Congress-led governments in the past would be acknowledged for their role in the Vikrant project, triggering a credit war over the warship.
20-22 साल लगे हैं डिज़ाइन करने में, मैन्युफैक्चर करने में, ट्रायल करने में. तो ये सब अगर आप आईएनएस विक्रांत का मील पत्थर देखें, ये 1999 में शुरू होता है और कमीशन आज हुआ है. आज के प्रधानमंत्री तो फोटो लेंगे, बड़े बड़े भाषण देंगे और कहेंगे मैं आया 2014 में ये सब शुरुआत हुई. ये बिल्कुल गलत है.
There was a near immediate counter from the ruling BJP with a sarcastic snipe at the unpleasant matters in defense that the Congress should really be taking credit for. The two tweets triggered a familiar tutu meme in the backdrop of the beautiful ceremony in Kochi. And then when Prime Minister Modi unveiled the Indian Navy's new flag, one that gets rid of St. George's Cross, it was an opportunity for the BJP to front foot and launch its attack. obliquely blaming Nehru's leadership and the Congress-led UPA for failing to get rid of the colonial-era relic. The BJP's firebrand Bengaluru MP added ammo to the attack with this tweet, blaming what he called the Congress's slavish colonial mindset for its decision to allow the return of the St. George's Cross. Politics never has a day off in our democracy, and for a project as prestigious as Vikrant, it's hardly surprising that a war for credit and a fight to blame has broken out. But may we just say that on a day like today, those who deserve credit above all the politics and bickering, are the men and women of the Indian Navy's Naval Design Bureau. The builders, welders, skilled tradespersons of the Cochin Shipyard Limited. The relentless workers and engineers at the Steel Authority of India Limited, and countless other organizations big and small that have fought impossible odds to deliver India's first home-built aircraft carrier. With Abhishek Bhalla in Kochi, Bureau Report, India Today.
So does just, this kind of bickering and claim for credit really have place on a glorious day of this kind? Does, such claim for, I should be thanked for this project, my party should be thanked for this project? Why isn't the Prime Minister naming the UPA government and the Congress party in his speech today to say that there's collective responsibility for this amazing project? Is this the day for that kind of bickering? Joining me now, Aishwarya Mahadev of the Congress party, Charu Pragya of the BJP. But I'd like to start with India Today's Gaurav Sawant, who has tracked the Vikrant project from literally the drawing board until today when it has been commissioned into the Indian Navy. Gaurav, nobody is surprised by this war over credit and the politics that's playing over it. But what are you making of it? While the ceremony was on, you had, not anyone small, senior Congress leader, Jairam Ramesh, chief of their, media setup, saying that, the Prime Minister should say and acknowledge earlier governments for their role in this entire project. Do you think that was okay? Do you think that was proper?
Shiv, we are a vibrant democracy, and look at the way, even on such a glorious national, a day of national pride, when India gets our own indigenous aircraft carrier, political parties also raise political issues. So the world is watching how our democracy functions, noisy, vibrant. But, the Prime Minister thanked the workers who built this. And Shiv, you know this better than anyone else. This was against all odds, in the face of technology denial, a lot of research that went into it, a lot of delays that went. Yeah. Remember, this project, Shiv, actually was conceptualized in 1988-89. Of course, that time it was a much smaller, 28,000-ton aircraft carriers was then the hope of the Indian Navy. Then during Kargil War, they realized we would need bigger aircraft carriers. So George Fernandez in 1999. Then it was in 2001 that the Kochi Shipyard Limited actually came up with this 45,000-ton or 43,000-ton displacement final plan, and then the 2004 government changed. So it's been on throughout, but it's happened only now. It's the Indian Navy, the Design Bureau, the shipyard, the DRDO, the workers, and perhaps, all the Indians, the taxpayers, everyone coming together to make this dream come true.
No, because I don't quite get it. And I want to bring Aishwarya in on this. She represents the Congress party because, the government in power, the Prime Minister who is in office does commission ships. I have attended so many commissionings where, Mr. Antony has commissioned ships, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has commissioned ships. Today, I did not hear Prime Minister Modi say that the BJP is responsible for Vikrant. So one is wondering, Aishwarya, what prompted Jairam Ramesh to say, will the Prime Minister, acknowledge collective responsibility? He wasn't taking credit for the ship in the first place.
Good evening, Shiv. I think first and foremost today, what has happened is a momentous occasion for India as a country. I congratulate everybody who has obviously worked on this project over years and almost decades. And also that it is a victory for every single Indian that today we join an elite race of countries to be able to have such large, ginormous magnanimous creatures of the sea, to be very honest. And
Yeah.
it is everybody's victory, and I will not take away from that. And Shiv, even your communication, I think, with Mr. Jairam Ramesh on Twitter also alludes to the same. I think the entire sort of conversation today has veered around, even if it was not a direct mention or jibe or a statement. It was this entire talking about Atmanirbhar as a concept and how we have moved away from reliance, almost alluding to the fact that the previous governments have not done it. Shiv, let me point out two things. The fact that Vikrant exists today is a testament to the continuity of governments, which is not only a credit to the UPA but the NDA itself, one. And second, the fact remains that you cannot take away, almost like saying that today's Navy is the strongest, the biggest, everything that we have is almost taking away from the years and decades of pride and hard work of the Navy under other successive governments as well. And I think when Mr. Jairam Ramesh spoke about it, I think the very singular fact he wanted to see was, would the Prime Minister be bipartisan enough to say this is successive governments giving this to India and the Navy? And to be very honest, Shiv, I think today is the Navy's day. Today is the day for all Indians to rejoice. And today is the day we can put our hands on our heart and proudly say we are one of the elite countries when it comes to naval superpowers. And I think Jairam Ramesh just asked to see if the Prime Minister would be magnanimous enough to acknowledge where this big man come.
The thing is, if that were the case, then, you know, perhaps all governments should actually do that and thank previous governments for their participation in projects. I'm not playing whataboutery, but I'm just saying that I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen a commissioning ceremony where a sitting Prime Minister has named earlier governments. I've attended so many commissionings. I don't think Dr. Manmohan Singh or Mr. Antony has named earlier governments while commissioning, you know, a piece of a weapons platform. But Charu, how would you respond to the Congress party? Okay, unfortunately, we've lost that connection with Charu. We'll try and bring that back right now. Gaurav, you know, Aishwarya makes a point as well. The continuity of governments is very much a reality, especially when it comes to long, you know, sustained projects like the aircraft carrier Vikrant. She says, you know, why shouldn't it be a norm for there to be, you know, collective acknowledgement about successive governments and incumbents being responsible for this kind of thing? It's not happened so far, but that's what she says is the suggestion here, Gaurav.
So, sure, I mean, this is a day to acknowledge India. And the Navy did that. The Navy spoke of how so many states were involved, how so many entities were involved, how organizations across the country were involved in the manufacture of this aircraft carrier, manufacturing this aircraft carrier. So it's not about governments, whether it was a Congress government or a BJP government or an X or a Y government. It's about states, people, everyone coming together to do this. I don't understand, the need even for taking credit or seeking credit in this any which ways.
Okay.
But then since we are a democracy, the opposition must continue to target the government and the government must continue to respond.
Charu, I hope you were able to hear what Aishwarya said. How would you respond to that? Calling for collective responsibility is something that should have happened today, says Aishwarya.
Shiv, you know, I'd like to stick to the topic today. And first of all, I want to begin by congratulating all of India. I think it's a momentous day. It's a huge, huge occasion. And I am so glad I have an opportunity to be on air with both you and Gaurav, because I know both of you follow defense very closely. You write about it. Your shows are always the best when it comes to defense. And today is the day which is bringing goosebumps to every Indian. When I was looking at videos while the commissioning was going on, every single video of INS Vikrant literally has given me goosebumps today. And if I'm feeling like this, I can confidently say the rest of our country is also celebrating in a similar manner. We have come a long way. And from the previous INS Vikrant, which has been a war hero for our country, to this one, which is indigenously made, which has taken the blood, sweat, heart, soul, and toiling of so many people. So many Indian MSMEs have contributed. Big industrial houses of India have contributed, not to mention all our defense departments. And it is a day which only needs to be celebrated when your Prime Minister is commissioning aircraft carrier like this, not a day for petty political bickering. And unfortunately, I think a lot of political class in India, in the opposition, can find something negative even on the most positive and celebratory days. I find that really, really sad, and I don't want to pay heed to that. At the end of it, I want to stress on one point. This is a government which has talked about Atmanirbharta. This is a government which has pushed for everything to be indigenous. Why not try? Why is it that we must always take it for granted that if India has not done something in the past, we can't do it in the future? I think we've come a long way. INS Vikrant is a feather in India's cap, and I'm not going to take credit away from this government, because the encouragement which can come from a political class versus the apathy which can come from a political class is visible for everybody to see globally.
Aishwarya, you know, the response, I take what you're saying, and the point you've made is an accepted one. But there is a sense that the Congress sometimes reacts like as if the government has attacked the Congress or pointed a finger at the Congress. In this instance, that did not really happen. It was largely, you know, it was a military ceremony that was taking place. So Charu says this is petty defensive politics by the Congress party, which has run out of issues.
You know, 2 points of rebuttal to that. I think that first and foremost, when you see that the modus operandi of the current government, whether it is sacred August 15th or the 75th year of India's independence, when you believe a large part of your speech ends up becoming about targeting a political class, you realize that it almost is standard MO for them. And in this, I don't think anything was almost us feeling attacked as much as us waiting to see if you would acknowledge that this was not only one government that created this, because the continuity of governance is something that is important. And, you know, Charu talks about we have empowered...
But Aishwarya, that's never been acknowledged by any government. Let's be fair about that.
Okay, Shiv, so I think
I mean, it's not like Manmohan Singh has ever acknowledged Vajpayee or previous prime ministers in defense projects. That's never been a norm.
So, for example, even if you look at the correspondence of Mr. A.K. Antony, or even when he was originally speaking about the Vikrant, he spoke about how it is for everybody and everybody of this country. But Shiv, the second part I want to come back to in the response, when she spoke about apathy of another political class and talking about how the BJP is encouraged, and I really do not want to do this today, because today is the Navy and their victory.
Yeah.
But the armed forces have a 63,000 crore shortfall in their budget, and I've been scrambling to make up for that because their capex has been reduced so drastically. So there's a lot that can be said, but let us keep this today about the victory of the Indian people, about the Navy. And I think very, very successful day for all of us, but it should be acknowledged that it is because of everybody. Whether we have acknowledged Mr. Vajpayee, we have successively. He has acknowledged the Congress governments. We're going forward, and I really hope that sort of statesmanship, because this bickering should not take away from the Navy and the shipbuilding that have given us such a wonderful, wonderful INS Vikrant today, Shiv.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you that nothing should take away from this. And that's the reason why we're actually putting the spotlight on the politics of it. Like Gaurav said, and I totally agree with him, we're a vibrant democracy. You know, fighting, bickering, quarreling is all part of the game as far as any issue is concerned. It's not taboo. But another thread of controversy that has been, tailing this entire Vikrant story and the commissioning today is the issue over the new Nishan, the new ensign. Okay, and it was unveiled today by the Prime Minister. And Charu, your party, Gaurav is the one, by the way, in 2001 who broke the story of the Vajpayee government at that time dropping the St. George's Cross and, creating a new naval flag. Now, all these years later, it's happening again, where that St. George's Cross, we'll have pictures of those on your screen in just a moment, have been, gotten rid of by this government in place of a brand new identity for the Indian Navy. Charu, your party, specifically Tejasvi Surya and some others, members of parliament, elected representatives, have taken direct pot shots at the Congress and called it slavish colonial mentality for the fact that they, brought or at least approved the bringing back of the St. George's Cross on that flag back in 2004. Why do you say that? Because the way we've reported it, the Navy was not happy with the earlier flag and they thought visibility was poor, and that's why it happened. Are you saying that the government at the time had the opportunity to keep the St. George's Cross away and failed to do so?
Shiv, I'm going to be very respectful today because today is an important day. But do you think the Navy became unhappy with the flag overnight? Was it one instance and they said, now we are done, let's change it tomorrow. It has obviously been a build up for decades, if not longer, if not years. And this build up has been visible for everybody to see. Now, I'm a firm believer in this. Political will is extremely important to bring about any change. Even if that change is something like changing the concluding song at the beating retreat ceremony on our Republic Day, or it is changing the flag for the Indian Navy. Nothing can happen without strong political will. And here we have a government which is firm in its decision making, which is very clear to shrug off relics of the colonial past. We have come into our own. India is a superpower today. We are commanding one of the world's most powerful armies. And of course, we're talking about the Navy right now, the Navy today. So if that is the case, why is it that everything needs to become a topic of political bickering? And I disagree with Aishwarya, though she's tried to stay to the topic. There have been leaders from her party which have been poking at the issue, and in an unnecessary and a negative manner. That's totally not required. When Prime Minister gives credit to everyone who's been involved, that means everyone. Or do you want special names to be taken only to end?
No, but it's your, but Charu, it is your party that has launched this attack. So, that's the reason I'm asking. The politics has, the first shot has been fired from your
Shiv,
side
I've
by
lost your
Tejasvi.
voice.
No, I can hear you, Charu, but I'm just going to say
Shiv,
that
I've lost you.
we can hear you, Charu. We'll try and get that link back. Aishwarya, you want to respond to that? Because in this particular case, the Congress wasn't the first one to fire a shot. The BJP has sort of taken the offensive on you guys on the St. George's cross being removed from the Indian Navy ensign. Aishwarya, if you can hear me. Okay. I think we've got a problem with that guest link, so we'll have to let that go for the moment. Gaurav, thanks very much for joining me. We will continue to track the fallout of INS Vikrant, and the important thing right now, of course, to remember is that the ship is ready. It's in Indian naval service, and it is ready for operations in just a few months from now. Hardly had the Indian Navy's new flag begun to flutter on the deck of INS Vikrant that our usual silly politics of credit began. किसने बनाया, किसने लॉन्च किया, किसने सैंक्शन किया, किसने पैसा दिया? The Congress, lurching from one silly headline to the next, saw it fit to launch a mission to take credit or collective credit for INS Vikrant. Politicians have always commissioned vessels. There's nothing new in what the Prime Minister did today. Is the Congress saying it cannot partake of a national event without sniping at its political rivals? Is the Congress saying that it cannot celebrate a day its past governments were most definitely part of without indulging in a juvenile attempt at mujhe bhi mention karo, mujhe bhi credit do? It's true, viewer. Political parties love credit for what their governments have done. All parties indulge in it somewhere at some point. But since INS Vikrant is so close to my heart personally, it's a ship I've personally seen from birth till today. A ship I've seen transformed over 17 years from a single metal plate being cut all the way to the 45,000 tons of epic strength that it is today. I really want to speak my mind, and I wish to tell political parties, stop trying to take credit for giving the armed forces what they need to protect this country. You aren't doing the country any favors. You're using public money to arm the country so it may be better secured against its enemies. This is no act of charity or generosity on your part. Rather than bicker for credit on an auspicious day like this, why don't political parties rise above their stupid tu-tu meh-meh and simply salute the incredible workers, the welders, the tradespersons, builders, designers, sailors, engineers, metallurgists, aviators, and architects who spent so many years against the most astonishing of odds to give the Indian Navy a ship few thought this country could build. Today isn't about any government or political party, viewer. It's about India's dauntless, relentless pursuit of self-reliance, enshrined in a giant vessel that will sail to keep us just that little bit safer. Her name is Vikrant, and that means victorious. So on this day, can we please also defeat petty politics? Jai Hind. Taking a very quick break, coming up on the other side on 5 Live, We're switching gears from Vikrant to the politics over the godman in Karnataka whose arrest India Today's relentless coverage ensured late last night. But has he truly been arrested? Is he being treated like any other citizen? We'll tell you next.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
It's been 2 years since India passed the controversial Citizenship Amendment Act. The much-debated act fast-tracks citizenship of Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi and Christian immigrants from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh who arrived into India before 2015. However, the centre is yet to frame rules for it. Without the rules being framed, the act cannot be implemented. But interestingly, data from the past 5 years shows that 87% of the applicants who have received Indian citizenship are from Pakistan, and an astounding number of 6 lakh Indians have given up their citizenship in these last 5 years. India's brain drain. On an average, 1,21,632 people have given up Indian citizenship every year, but only an average of 1,044 people took Indian citizenship in the last 5 years. This means total intake is only about 1% of the total brain drain. The top preference for Indians is USA citizenship. At a small level, reverse migration is also taking place. Only 71 American citizens opted to take Indian citizenship in the last 5 years. In contrast, the top 3 countries whose residents got Indian citizenship are Pakistan, which is 87%, Afghanistan, 8%, and Bangladesh, 2%. Why are Indians giving up their citizenship? According to the Global Wealth Migration Review, 2% of India's millionaires have already flocked overseas in 2020. Firstly, India does not offer dual citizenship, so people seeking to be citizens of other countries have to renounce their Indian citizenship. A high number of Indians seek citizenship in other countries in return for monetary investments. Countries like Portugal run a golden visa program, citizenship by investment or residency by investment. Another reason is also India's poor passport score. The Indian passport is currently ranked 85th, offering visa on arrival to just 58 destinations. The higher the passport index ranking, the better access to travel visa-free to many countries. Indians have also been leaving the country because of job opportunities with better pay and better work hours. Also in the United States and United Kingdom, for instance, professionals in healthcare, science, technology, engineering and math fields are currently in high demand. coming from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political black.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Six days after child rape charges were booked against him, the Muruga Mutt seer, Shivamurthy Muruga Sharanaru, was finally arrested dramatically late last night in a story that is widely acknowledged as an India Today impact story. But hours after his arrest, the rape-accused Muruga Mutt seer has started complaining of chest pain. After the health excuse, the child rape-accused godman reportedly broke down in court. The court didn't take these excuses, sending Shivamurthy to 4 days police custody. Take a look at the unfolding drama in Chitradurga.
A late-night arrest, health scare and VVIP treatment. There was high drama in Chitradurga following the late-night arrest of Muruga Mutt Pontiff Shivamurthy Muruga Sharanaru, who is accused of raping 2 minor girls. The rape suspect seer was taken to the district jail at 3 a.m. Later, he complained of chest pain. The seer was shifted to the Chitradurga Government Hospital at 9:10 a.m. in an ambulance. He was seen being taken on a wheelchair in the hospital. India Today learns the pontiff underwent an ECG, blood test and CT scan at the jail.
Actually, our physician suggested for cardiologist opinion. So, cardiology team will be visiting Swamiji now, and they will examine thoroughly the cardiac condition.
The seer is likely to be shifted to Bengaluru's Jayadeva Hospital, where he will be kept on the 6th floor, away from the regular patients.
ರೋಗಿಯನ್ನು ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯನ್ನು ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿಸಿದೆ ಕೂಲಂಕುಷ ಪರಿಶೀಲಿಸಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವರದಿಯನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಚೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇನ್ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ BP ಶುಗರ್ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಜೊತೆಗೆ 2 ದಿವಸದಿಂದ ಅವರು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಅವರು.
The hospitalization of the Muruga Mutt chief, who was sent to 14-day judicial custody after the arrest, raises a serious question. Is the health issue merely an excuse to evade jail? Several activists are alleging that the seer's arrest was a sham.
Till yesterday, he did not have any problem. Okay, he was trying to escape from the mud twice also, because yesterday there was a news that he is going out of the mud after this anticipatory bail thing is posted for today or tomorrow, something like that. And suddenly he developed chest pain, means that is again another ploy. I really feel that.
See, this will happen. Every senior politicians and the Swamijis, this has been very regular. This is not a surprise.
Shivamurthy Muruga Sharanaru is booked under sections of POCSO and ST&SC Atrocities Act for allegedly raping 2 students staying at the Mutt hostel. The rape-accused seer broke down in court during custody hearing on Friday. The court has granted police 4-day remand of the rape-accused seer for questioning. But his hospitalization could delay the investigation further. With Sage Raj in Chitradurga, Bureau Report, India Today.
And we've got some breaking news coming in. A man has tried to self-immolate outside the Chitradurga hospital where Shivamurthy Muruga Sharanaru, the Lingayat seer, was being treated a short while ago. A supporter of the rape-accused seer poured petrol on himself and tried to set himself on fire. Supporters, this particular man has been rescued and he's been taken into protective custody by the police. Remember that the godman who's been accused of child rape is a highly influential and well politically connected godman. He's a highly connected seer. He's been taken into custody. He's been remanded to 4 days police custody. A man has tried to immolate himself outside the hospital where the seer was being treated earlier today in the ICU, no less, after he complained of chest pain. This is the man who tried to immolate himself, being detained by the police. He's been taken into custody now.
Now brief us in detail about how many days police custody was sought, how many days was given, sir.
We have submitted a request before Honorable Court for police custody of Murga Sharanaru. The court has given police custody for 4 days, sir, till 5th of this month. We will proceed for further.
Some of the doctors who came to the hospital earlier said that he needs more medical evaluation. He needs to be taken to Bengaluru. Jaydeva was a hospital that was being planned. What changed, sir? What have changed in court?
That I don't know. That I don't know. You should ask.
Where will he be kept over the next 4 days, sir?
It depends.
Okay.
Sir, about other accused, it depends his health condition.
About other accused, sir. What happened to Rashmi, sir? How many days police custody?
We have produced Rashmi before Honorable Court. Just now we have produced. We sought her police custody also. Just we have to wait for further orders.
Sir, about his health condition, if you could give us an update, how is he doing at this point in time?
Please ask doctors.
And India Today's Sagai Raj, who's been breaking every single twist and turn in this dramatic unfolding story, including the arrest of the seer late last night, is with me live from Chitradurga. Sagai, a supporter trying to immolate himself has been detained by the police. 4 days custody, police custody. It is into that the seer has been remanded. What next for him, Sagai?
You can see in the visuals that he is taken for a routine medical test. This is a general test which is always done whenever police takes an alleged accused in a police custody. And a few minutes back, we just saw one of the supporters of Shivamurthy Sharnoor Seer try to self-immolate in front of the hospital. He also shouted sloganeering in support of Seer, saying that he's been unnecessarily targeted by few people. You can see the visuals right now. As we speak, there are some kind of movement where he is taken inside for a general test, and from here he will be taken for police custody where they will interrogate him further. So far, the police have not revealed that where he'll be interrogated. Last night, police had misguided the media, and they did not allow the media to capture the visuals of him when he was being picked up from the mud. And subsequently, we got him when he was being brought back to the hospital yesterday for the medical test. Yesterday, the medical test, everything was fine. All of a sudden, around 8:30 a.m., the seer has reported chest pain and heart issues and cardiac issues. And as we speak now, after 4 days of police custody, he has been taken for a general test here in Chitradurga Government Hospital.
With me, Sagai, joining me live now, our Narendra Rangappa, he's a spokesperson of the BJP. Syed Asad Abbas is a political analyst. We also have with us Divya Reddy, who's an activist. But I'd like to start with Siddharth Bhupati, who has been a petitioner in this entire case against the seer. Siddharth, what are you taking of the drama that has unfolded today? Few hours in jail, taken out, taken to the hospital. The court has remanded the seer to 4 days police custody now. Siddharth. Siddharth, can you hear me? Let me bring in Divya Reddy for a moment in that case. Divya, if you can hear me, you've seen every twist and turn of what's happened since late last night when this godman was arrested. What are you making of it today? There is a sense that special treatment is being given even now.
So, Shiv, thank you for this opportunity. Let me start by saying these self-proclaimed godmen in India have been taking undue advantage of the vulnerable for decades now on various spheres, be it Shiv Aroor or be it Asaram Babu, be it Ram Rahim Singh or the infamous Nityananda Swami, who's the indigenous godman of Karnataka.
Yeah.
I have a very important point to make here, or rather a prayer. The number of times these accused have a chest pain, my sincere request to our Honorable Prime Minister is to set up a special ward for all this chest pain in the prison itself. So because nobody seems to be having a kidney or a lung ailment ever.
I agree.
Most of the time, the accused end up complaining of this chest pain. It could be the stress of being arrested or the anxiety of the truth being spilled. And it is never actually the heart ailment. While abusing the modesty of a woman, they never complain of this pain. And rather, in fact, it's the same heart that allows them to commit such heinous crimes.
Well said, well said. I completely agree, because the fact is chest pain has become a metaphor for trying to get off the hook after you've run out of rope with the law. Narendra Rangappa, public faith has turned into public anger and disillusionment over the manner in which the government has handled the arrest of this seer. Waited 6 days to arrest him, and even now it looks like he's being given special treatment, sir. How would you defend this?
Definitely, I don't agree with the fact that he has been given any special treatment at all. Because we arrested him late night at 10 o'clock. We produced
6 days.
the sessions judge at 12 o'clock in the evening. Then he was interrogated till 2 o'clock in the midnight. So is this a special treatment? No. Because we believe that the accused is accused, whoever he is. He'll be treated like an accused.
No, but sir, you arrested him 6 days after the case was booked against him for child rape, sir. How is that not special treatment? How is that not special treatment, sir?
Let us understand the fact that the statement recorded by the petitioner under 164 is only in the knowledge, within the knowledge of the judge who has recorded the statement. Nobody else knows. Only after that, after going through the issues raised in the statement, the judge will decide whether this warrants the arrest of the accused.
That is not. That is factually incorrect, sir. That is factually incorrect. That is factually incorrect, because under Divya, would you like to say something? Under POXO provisions, these are non-bailable provisions, sir. There is no question of a judge directing it. The police have to detain and question immediately.
Absolutely. And also, the court has to give you the instruction. In this case, the court has not given an instruction for him to be admitted in the hospital. Even that needs to come from the court. But has it come? Or why is the police acting as the law? Like, why is the police taking the judgment in their hands when the police is supposed to execute what the court is asking them to execute?
Yeah. No, it's very clear that the police has acted slowly in this case, with great respect to the police force, because I know that they have a very difficult job to do. But in this particular case, it looks like there are special instructions. Siddharth Bhupati is back with us. He's one of the petitioners in this case. Siddharth, what is your view? There is a sense that, the long rope given to the seer so far is continuing even now. How do you see what has happened since last night?
See, now that the arrest has happened, so now the investigation has begun, technically speaking. So definitely it is a long way to go. And now that the police have taken the accused number 1 into 4 days custody, police custody, so now the evidences needs to be collected, the statement of the seer needs to be recorded, and the medical examination, which is very important in this case.
Yeah. Yes.
Has to be done.
Do you think he is still being given special treatment, Siddharth?
Definitely. See, we have been seeing many VIPs, VVIPs in custody, be it police custody or judicial custody, being given this kind of treatment previously. This is not new. This is not at all new, and this doesn't come as a surprise for me.
No, but the thing is,
so this should not happen. This should not happen. This sends out a wrong message. See, Article 14 clearly says everybody is equal in the eyes of law.
No, but already that has, that entire provision has been, torn into pieces, because it's been 6 days since the booking of this man happened. Syed Asad Abbas is a well-known political analyst as well on this case. Syed, how are you seeing this? What is the public mood over this story in Karnataka right now? Is there anger? Is there disillusionment over the manner in which it has been handled?
Shiv, my friend, the fact of the matter is, I've always said, there's no mullah, maulvi, ayatollah, priest, pandit is above the law. Everyone needs to come under the law and the constitution. The fact of the matter, we need to understand there's a lot of politics involved here. No party whatsoever wants to brush the wrong side with the mullah.
Congress has refused to even join debates on this. Congress has even refused to join debates on this. Anyway, continue.
The fact of the matter, Shiv, we need to understand here. Foxo being a non-believable offence, why was the seer being free? Why was he not arrested? Also, as a matter of fact, the onus lies at him. The burden of proof lies at him. It is guilty until proven innocent. Also, we need to understand that the respective political parties here in Karnataka are all favoring this. Why so? Because of the large percentage of the vote bank of the community. So therefore, nobody wants to play games around with them. Because one statement could make them lose elections.
But Syed, do you think they've run out of options now? That's why they were forced to do this? I mean, India Today's coverage has been relentless, but that, apart from political pressure, must have forced them to finally act last night.
Absolutely, Shiv. Why do we call the journalists or the press the fourth pillar of the Constitution? Thanks to wonderful shows like 5 Live and India Today and journalists like you, this is responsible journalism. With great power comes great responsibility and greater accountability. That is the only reason why Basavaraj Bommai is initiating action. If there was no media, this should have been hushed up and everybody would have forgotten about this. But we will not let this happen because we come from the land of Basavana in Karnataka. 2 minor daughters of Karnataka must be brought to justice.
Divya, last word to you. Do you have faith that the investigation will continue without any special treatment? There is a lot of media attention being paid right now, and that's why it looks like the government is making the right moves. But let's never forget that these are very influential people we're talking about.
Shiv, I'm not against any community or any caste. You know, I respect the Naval community.
Well
but
said.
Law is above all castes, and protecting modesty of a woman is a priority across all religions. We just celebrated our 75 years of freedom, but still we have such perverts who take India down. Favor is a no-no in caps lock, and no is a bigger no-no. In New India, I think everyone, and I say everyone, each and every one of us, the minors, the majors, across all caste, creed, color, must be equal as far as law is concerned.
Absolutely. I hope when Chief Minister Bommai, a highly respected politician, says he's given a free hand for the police to do its job, I hope that really means a free hand. We're talking about child rape. There is no space here for politics or for blame games here. The law must take its course. The seer will only be guilty once he's pronounced guilty. Until then, there are no kangaroo courts, but the provisions of the law have to be carried out. And that is all we are saying here on India Today. For 6 days, those provisions were not followed, and that's a very, very serious infringement. Thank you to all of you for joining me on this very brief discussion on a story that India Today has set the agenda with. We've practically forced all national media to get onto this story. And I think they should also be perhaps in some way commended for finally doing a story that's important to this country. Coming up next, after Ankita and Jharkhand and the shooting of Naina Mishra in Delhi, a similar incident of coercion and stalking has come to light in UP's Bagpat. So many incidents of stalking where the stalker has threatened to behead an entire family. Pooja brings you that exclusive report next.
Food wastage is not just a social problem, but an environmental one too. It is important to take concrete steps to ensure food wastage is avoided at all costs. Why we shouldn't waste food? When we waste food, we waste the labor, the effort, investment, and precious resources. It also increases greenhouse gas emissions and contributes to climate change. What you can do? Reduce. Be more mindful of food you buy what you use, and use it all. Improve food storage and reduce wastage at home. Reuse. If you don't eat everything you make, freeze it for later. Use the leftovers as an ingredient in another meal. Recycle. Recycle as much as possible, try composting, and put nutrients back into the soil. You can also start your own green patch of fruits, vegetables, or herbs. With these easy ways, you can reduce food wastage and become a food hero.
Can pets around us be infected with monkeypox? Yes is the answer to that. In fact, a case was seen in France of a human-to-dog transmission, which then prompted the World Health Organization to come out and say that there is a possibility of animals being infected from humans, and that's the reason why humans who have been infected with monkeypox must isolate from the animals as well. Earlier this week, French researchers documented the first case of a dog with confirmed monkeypox infection in a Lancet report that the dog might have acquired this infection through human transmission. In fact, there has been a lot of speculation in the US already that the outbreak in the country was because of a dog. The WHO, however, says that human-to-dog transmission is actually not surprising. The WHO says that experts have been working with partners such as the World Organization of Animal Health and the Food and Agriculture Organization to address this matter.
This has been a theoretical risk. You may see that a number of public health agencies have advised those who contract monkeypox to make every effort to isolate from their pets or to isolate their pets from themselves because of this hypothetical risk, particularly both in the household for domestic pets as well as in possible risks of contamination of animals outside the household. For example, rodents accessing garbage and things like that.
The CDC has also advised that people with monkeypox should in fact avoid coming in contact with animals, including their pets. The infection can spread with prolonged physical contact, for example, hugging your pet or kissing your pet. Petting, cuddling, licking and sharing sleep areas and sharing food could lead to the spread of this infection. The CDC says pets who had close contact with someone with monkeypox symptoms should also be isolated, should be kept at home and should be kept secluded for some time to observe symptoms. The CDC also says that they're unsure if reptiles, amphibians or birds can get monkeypox. They say it is unlikely since these animals have not been found to be infected with other orthopox viruses.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy.
Co-presented by PolicyBazaar.com. In association with LIC, हर पल आपके साथ. Amrita Hospital, Faridabad. Bharti AXA Life Insurance. Do the smart thing.
Baghpat harassment horror. Stalker threatens to behead entire family. Youth ask family to hand over daughter. Sartan se juda threat to girl's father. fears for daughters' safety. Who will save our betis?
Good evening and welcome. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime with me, Pooja Shali, the show where I bring issues that matter to us as citizens of this country. Today on this special telecast, I'll be talking about an issue that many girls across India face. In generic terms, it can be called stalking. But what begins from harassment, molestation, then becomes threatening and intimidating, and in some cases has also turned to murder. Those stories on 6 p.m. today. Let's begin with headlines first. Rape-accused seer has been sent to 4-day police custody. Karnataka Chief Minister says he has given a free hand to the police. The arrest came after India Today's relentless campaign demanding action. After a health excuse, emotional drama now in court. Accused of raping minors, Lingat seer breaks down in the court. Karnataka police to grill him next. In a big boost to the Indian Armed Forces, India gets first indigenous aircraft carrier. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inducts the 20,000 crore INS Vikrant. Indian Navy freed from the colonial relic. Navy flag loses the St. George Cross. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveiling the new ensign for the Navy. More revelations in Sonali Fogat murder case. Video of the accused hours after the murder resurfaces. Sonali and PA's transactions are now also under lens. A bottle that was used to drug Sonali has been recovered by the cops. In a big development, the Supreme Court grants interim bail to activist Teesta Setalwar in the 2002 Gujarat riots case. Teesta Setalwar has been asked to surrender her passport. The High Court to take a decision on the regular bail. Take a look closely on your screen about the different images that are going to come. These are India's betis who are being targeted by rowdy radical stalkers. In Delhi, we're talking about a young school-going girl, Naina Mishra, who was shot at. She has a bullet lodged in her shoulder. She's battling for life because Amanat Ali decided to shoot at her because she was refusing her advances. Initially, remember in Dumka in Jharkhand, that smiling monster, Shah Rukh Hussain, set fire to Ankita Kumari, who eventually died, but before, with a very courageous calm, gave a dying declaration. In Bagpat now, a concerned parent is begging for help because there is another accused right now who's now been arrested, who has been harassing her and the family, and we'll get you that story as well. But in Ayodhya, these two young men were seen harassing and molesting girls on an e-rickshaw, and then, just in time, they were nabbed by the public. After the brutal murder of Ankita Kumari in Jharkhand just a few days ago, and then the shooting of a school-going girl, Naina, in Delhi's Sangam Vihar, now a concerned parent from Uttar Pradesh's Bagpat has spoken up. This incident is similar. This is of coercion that has come to light. This is also of harassment. This is of threatening, where one young man named Mohammad Rais not only asked a father to hand over his daughter to him and also threatened of consequences, and then told him if he does not comply, he will be beheaded. Warning of consequences, harassing his daughter. Here's a report from Uttar Pradesh's Bagpat.
Ankita Kumari set on fire in Jharkhand by Shah Rukh Hussain. Naina shot at by Amanat Ali in Delhi's Sangam Vihar. Now, a concerned parent in Uttar Pradesh is begging for help. Accused Rais allegedly asked Bagpat resident to hand over his minor-age daughter to him or face the consequences. Month-long harassment and then the threat to be beheaded.
बोला कि नहीं मैं आपकी लड़की को मैं फिर से लेकर जाऊंगा, वो मेरे साथ ही जाएगी। मैं भैया तेरे के पहले तुझसे वो नहीं हुआ सबर, हमने इतना वो करा तुझसे, वो करा शिकायत वगैरह करी तेरी, नहीं नहीं लड़की मेरे साथ ही जाएगी आपकी, या नहीं तो देख लो मैं क्या करूँगा, फोटो लगाऊंगा